morning, afternoon, or evening, once again, depending on where you are watching from and when you are watching us. Welcome to the finals of our Living Legend event. This is still part of the Battle Hardened event, but this is the ProQuest. And we are looking at a one last hurrah, one last final match between two of our players. We have Tove Hansen and Marcus Jonsson
Yeah.
have managed to make it into the finals. That is going to be an Aurora versus Zen matchup. While the players are still setting up, Konrad, do you have any preliminary thoughts about this matchup?
You know what? Yesterday, my last cast game yesterday, I think it was a Sen versus Sen, and I predicted this would be a fast match with no blocking, and boy was I wrong. So, but I'm not scared. I'm not going to shy away for another prediction. I think this will be a fast game with not much blocking going on.
I had the same prediction just
Yeah.
outside the door before you
Yeah.
gave it, so I'm with you on that one. If we are both wrong once again, then we will see. But now it's Living Legend. I
Yeah.
feel like we're even more likely
Should
to
be
be right on that.
quicker, but I would be glad to be wrong and see some kind of attrition war going on, but I have a hard time seeing it. Because remember, this is not the usual balance Sen that took down the Battle Hardened yesterday. This is the Living Legend, the Quick Sen, with access to Art of War and at least one bonds.
Exactly. Which, if my memory serves me correctly, the game I was casting with Peter earlier that had a Zen
Yep.
did not actually ever use the bonds even. Never had to find it. They were setting up for a power turn and they kind of just got there with a already quite a power turn, but one
Yeah.
without the bonds in the last turn.
The toolbox is so strong anyway. Like we've said it time and time again. The past streams that this hero power makes it so that you can tutor any card with combo from your deck, and that is a very powerful ability. So I mean, if you have access to another tutor in the form of bonds, you can do it twice each turn, or even more times, depending on how many cards you had the time to set up in your graveyard. But it's usually not needed because there's so much damage coming out, seemingly out of nowhere.
No, that makes perfect sense, and we definitely expect this. Like in Living Legend, you can go slower. We've seen a Fatigue Oldhim versus Icelander matchup earlier, which,
Yeah.
funnily enough, ended 10 minutes before time. They didn't even go to time.
They played quickly.
They played a very slow matchup very quickly.
Mhm.
We did go through probably more turns than we've seen in any other game, but they just played the turns through quickly. But
Yep.
this matchup, both of these decks are decks that just want to win quickly. They want to pop off. They want to destroy their opponent. And there's some setup required for it,
Yeah.
but not as much as a deck like Chain that is trying to do that train thing where they're trying to get all the soul bounds and then play with an 8-card hand at the end of the game.
But let's see, if we think about what are the main additions to the Zen deck in Living Legend, there is Stubby Hammers, which...
I will take us to the game, and that will allow us to bring up some of these cards while we are watching our players set up.
Stubby Hammers has been banned for a while, and I'm not certain that Marcus is running them, but I would think so.
Yes, we did see the previous Zen that we spectated was absolutely making good use out of them, but that was a different player, that was not Marcus, so I'm not sure if Marcus indeed has them in his list. But they are common, and they can be quite strong.
Yeah. It's a very cheap buff that you can use whatever you like, whenever you know that this will be the chain where I get the most, probably the most value out of it. I can just pop them and use them instantly. It's very, very clean, simple effect to use, and was so good that it was banned while it was in Classic Constructed a while back.
And you can sort of see why. Something that Peter pointed out, a lot of these Living Legend decks are using some of the older cards. We see it more in Chain, who is just an older hero. Prism is an older hero, but even the newer heroes are using some of the older cards that the balance was in some ways still a little bit shakier. Sometimes the wordings on things isn't quite as specific, and Stubby specifically saying when you destroy it, all of your action attack cards with 3 or less base power will get +1 when attacking this turn. So it's essentially a free semi-Art of War. You don't get the draw of it, but if you are going 6 attacks wide on a turn like Zen can do, that may well be 6 extra damage coming out of your gloves.
It's another big buff that you have access to whenever you like it, in addition to the aforementioned Art of War and the Ancestral Harmony. that banishes that's the name, right? The one that banishes the card from the top, and if it happens to be a combo card, you can play it this turn.
Ancestral Harmony.
Ancestral Harmony.
Yes.
Yeah. And I am curious what setup we will see. It
Yes.
looks like Marcus is showing off his his tiger tokens.
Yes, he seems to have a couple of like very cute tigers there, including one of the more serious one.
Yeah.
His tiger game is on point if nothing else, so he's ahead in the style war, I would say. But whether that will be enough to prevent Aurora from zapping all over him is the question.
Yeah, and I must say Aurora's Marvel Portraits is nothing to scoff at either.
That is true. It's a very good looking Marvel Aurora, whereas our Zen player is actually just playing with the regular old Zen.
Yeah.
We often see players with blinged out decks when we get to top 8, when they've really invested in that hero. But
Yeah.
Marcus, though I know him to be, he's a local, and we know him to be a ninja player. He's opted for good old basic Zen,
Hmm.
and we are off to start the first game. We get a fist bump to start it off, and we are starting going live. We are not entirely sure who is first, but we see both players looking. I assume Marcus is going to be the first player, given how Tove is shuffling a little bit harder, and Marcus seems to be looking at his cards, but we will find out in a second here.
Hmm. It seems to be the best thing like now. It seems like Tov got to start.
Yes, and he is opting just to Arsenal and pass. He just wants that little bit of advantage, that little tiny like, just this extra card.
And we can see it's right away. It's interesting to see that Marcus is deciding to use Zephyr Needles, and it's a very powerful equipment with a small drawback that if your opponent blocks them with a higher blocking value than Zephyr Needles' power, they break at the end of the combat chain. And that seemed to be a big issue, but in this matchup, I just think that the Marcus rather won't use his weapon. He looks to transcend as quickly as possible, and after that, every time he has a spare resource, he will swing those needles. And if they break, I guess that's fine, because it would mean your opponent is blocking with something from hand.
That's exactly what we saw in the last match. We saw them being used quite early, I think, on turn 2, when we saw the chain player on the defense blocking them out and destroying them, which gave pause to our Zen player. They actually had to sit back, and knowing that one of them was going to be destroyed, they sat back, reevaluated their turn, and then said, whatever. Swung with the second one, also had that destroyed, and then ended up not needing them anyway.
Yep. It looks like Marcus sent a CNC, and Tov decided to, you know what, I can't defend this defense reaction in my arsenal, it's simply not worth it.
Exactly, so we now see Ball Lightning, I think, going
Yeah,
down.
this is one of the new, I say new additions to Aurora, which is not really true, but it's a new, because it's banned in Constructed. Let's see if we can up on screen here.
Oh yeah, it is already selected.
Yeah. We've seen this before because this is the third time Tove has been on stream today. And this is one of the main additions to Living Legend Aurora. Because it's, as we've seen before, whenever you play Ball Lightning, it buffs every other lightning card or elemental card that you add to the combat chain. And this stacks, so that will mean that if he adds another Ball Lightning, the bonus will increase as well. And this triggers also for arcane damage.
Exactly, because that is the tricky thing about the wording. If you see this card, you might say whenever an attack would deal damage. It's like, okay, so you hit with the card and then it deals the one extra. So if your opponent blocks it out, it doesn't do anything. But the tricky part is that there are so many cards in the Lightning Arsenal that just say, when you play this, it deals 1 damage. And that is an attack dealing damage, even though it's not technically the physical damage on the attack itself. And it works on that, so that 1 damage will then be turned into 2 damage. And if your whole deck is cards like that, you're going to be leveraging this quite a bit.
We see this happen here. Marcus decided not to block, meaning that the 2 damage from the Ball Lightning turned into 4 damage from Ball Lightning. So he's gone down to 33.
We see the
pitching a 3rd Ball Lightning for a Starfall. And this pitch means that he has the opportunity. Starfall has to go again. So he has the opportunity to either play his last card. He could use the 2 resources left over for Grasp the Art Knight to make a rune chant, or he can use the 2 resources to set up a Embodiment of Lightning for his next turn.
And that is the question here, because most Rune Blades would be happy to like spend that extra resource just to make a rune chant. Why not? But Aurora is one of those heroes that doesn't really rely on the rune chants that
No.
much. Exactly. The go again may end up being more important for Tove here than the rune chant, because the rune chants, it represents 1 damage. I believe there are some ways to amplify it a little bit, so we could see the damage go up a tiny bit. But if you get stuck with a hand where you don't have go again when you do need go again, Embodiment of Lightning fixes that, and being able to play an additional card is often more than 1 or 2 damage. It's usually at least 3, if not 4, 5, or 6.
Yeah. And with that turn, it seemed like Tove has equaled the score. Both of them players are down to 31 at this point. Marcus deciding to play Art of War.
Yes, we see the first, what is going to be a big send turn. Good to note actually that we do not see the stubby hammers on Marcus' side. He's not
Using the Shuko.
Exactly. So we're not going to see the extra free Art of War, but instead we're going to see the more reliable, steady damage that the Shuko can offer.
And what's a good thing to think about playing the first Art of War, there is you could reason that, well, I'm gonna try to save my Art of War for an insane turn when I have the right go hand. But I can also say that every time you play Art of War, you get closer to the cards you actually want. You get closer to your other 2 Art of Wars and the other power cards.
Exactly. And not only that, you're also pressuring your opponent, which in the start of the game is not going to matter that much. If Tove has a hand that he thinks can win him the game, he can just say no blocks for days, and then he will take maybe 20 damage, go down to an 11, but if he then wins the game, that's fine. But most likely, for Tove to have a hand that can win in the game at this point, he has to have an incredible hand, so the odds of that happening are a little less likely. So if Marcus can get Tove down to 20, it becomes a little bit easier. That breakpoint to kill becomes a little bit lower, and the breakpoint to kill is kind of a big thing in Living Legends.
Yeah, and we see here Marcus is getting good use out of his needles already. He has 2 resources for 4 damage with go again, and no card spent.
Exactly.
And it seemed like Marcus didn't find any transcend card.
Yes.
Just opting for a Biting Breeze into Needle and a Mauling Key for 5.
A lack of transcend card is good news for Tove, but Tove is basically, he's using the balance of justice now, but he is not. He's trying to just get that card. He's just trying to set himself up to play a 6-card hand and no blocks. He might just have that hand that could kill Marcus from here. It would be an extremely strong hand to do 31 damage through the block of that Marcus has available. But let's see what he's got. He's going to try something here.
This is a good start with the burn up shock, which makes it 1 arcane to begin with, and since Marcus has no AB, that's just 1 damage, pure and simple. And the burn up part means that whenever any point of damage gets through from an attack, or an attack action card deals extra damage, that would mean Marcus takes 4 extra damage from the burn up part.
The first time that he gets hit by something, and so we see Marcus playing the E-Strike, choosing draw cards, and still getting the go again because of that Embodiment of Lightning that he made last turn. So indeed making very good use of that those 2 bits of energy he had left that we were talking about. And he is presenting damage. Tove is looking at his hand thinking, but we see Marcus thinking like, okay, you have a 6-card hand, you're drawing off your Enlightened Strike, it's go time for me as well. He's throwing the boots, making himself a tiger. The downside is he cannot use that. Well, he can block with the Traverse, of course, but it will not be able to find him a chi, as he has not yet transcended, so there is no chi in the deck to find.
He actually do have D-reacts.
He does.
That's interesting. That means he has a clean block for this 5 attack. And this Tove is following up with a Ball Lightning for 3. I think it has to be a red Ball Lightning.
And the difficulty here is, it's great that he had the clean block here, Marcus, but there's still 3 cards left in the hand for Tove. There's so many effects and things going on. The odds that Marcus is able to block this out perfectly is small, even though he does get the combo effect of that Flick Flack, allowing him to block this out as well. But most likely at some point during this turn he will take a point of damage, and then that on hit of the burn up shock will still apply. But even so, he is 9 life up on his opponent, and even with the burn up shock, if let's say he takes 4 damage from a 4 attack and a burn up hits him for 8, then he's gonna be on 22 health. He's still gonna be above
Yeah.
Tove's hit points.
Yeah, I think the main thing for Marcus will be that he really wants to something to transcend with. And as soon as he does that, there's always the opportunity of just shoving equipment to block a big attack and try to fire back with whatever he got, and the help of a she to tutor for whatever he'd like.
Right, I think we're seeing if I'm not
S-
mistaken, an
some
somersault.
somersault to return the ball lightning to hand. Seems like some damage got through.
Yeah, so we do see Marcus taking a bunch of damage. We see the burn up effect taking place, and that will take another 20 damage. And then there is still another attack with a lightning press. Well, it's being fused first.
Yeah.
Obviously, Marcus now knows that the lightning press is in Tov's hand. So the question to Marcus is, how much do I want to block? Because if you overblock this, Tove does not have to play that lightning press. He could just arsenal it and go again next turn, because Zen is not going to have much of a turn. He only has 1 card in hand.
Instead, he has the tiger, and he has to have 2 more cards, right? I think he blocked with Flick Flack from Arsenal.
Yeah,
no, 3 more cards. He blocked with Flick Flack from Arsenal, Boots, and 1 card from hand. So he should have Tiger plus 3 in hand, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So then he will be able to fight back against Tove.
Let's see if any of them is a transcend card. It will help him a lot.
And then the question is, what can he do now? Because again, can he be threatening enough that he can threaten?
Let's see. That's a good start.
Ancestral Harmony.
Yeah,
one of those
manages to hit the combo card.
So the Ancestral that Marcus is picking up, he did get the combo card of that hit, and it allows him to. He's playing it into the Crouching Tiger. The Crouching Tiger
is for 0.
Exactly, but he's playing that purely to get the benefit of the Tiger Swipe.
Yeah. So this means the Tiger Swipe is 4 plus 1 plus 1, I think. So it's up to 6, if I'm not mistaken. 1 because of the 2 in base, 2 because the last attack was a tiger, another for the harmony, and another for the Tiger Swipe, Tiger Shuko. Yeah. Tove taking 6.
Yes, selecting 2.
Netting another tiger, and there's the transcend card. Marcus had it.
Homage as well, which the effect of it itself is gaining him 1 life, which it seems like a small amount, but it could actually play the difference when the lines are this tight. It's certainly something you're probably more interested in seeing than Stir the Pot to
absolutely. This does something, yeah. Especially in Zen, who shuffles all the time. The plus 1 life is a lot more useful to him. Yeah. This is a big turn.
It is quite a big turn, but Tove still has 15 life, and Tove himself also has that arsenal and 4 cards in hand still. He hasn't blocked yet, so the question is, can Marcus force him to block? Because Tove is going to try and have another pop-off turn of his own. These two are both trying to kill each other as fast as possible.
I would imagine that Tove probably sometime during this turn he probably has to block with the arm piece and chest piece, because both of those are 2 blocks with Battle Worn or Temper in the case of the chest piece. That when he wants to get full value out of them and block for 4 this turn around, this turn, and then when the next turn comes around, he can block for another 2. So that is 4 block he probably will use this turn. But the question is it so that Marcus can present enough damage to actually take cards out of Tov's hand? And does Tov value his hand so highly so that he will be willing to take everything Marcus throws at him? Because in that case, he has to be certain to kill Marcus on his next turn. Marcus is at 16. That's a healthy life total.
Or at least present enough damage that it's a lethal and a fair bit to force Marcus to block with cards from hand.
He has to make Marcus respond in some way, and you don't want to be the first player that has to spend cards blocking.
Exactly, because the moment you lose tempo in a match like this, you might be dead the next turn, you might be dead the turn after, but you are most likely not getting it back.
And the difference being I think between these two living legend versions of Aurora and Zen is that these guys can scale exponentially in another way than the classic constructed counterparts would.
We do see Marcus ending his turn there, putting a card in Arsenal, trying to set up for that comeback turn, saying, telling Tove, show me what you have here. You have your Arsenal, you have a full grip, but I have 16 health. You're gonna need to deal 20 plus damage to me to force me to block, and otherwise I'm going to kill you.
Yeah, let's see how much he can manage.
And because of the fact that he has now transcended, that traverse is available, so he can't find himself a transcend card by blocking with it.
Let's see, here is one important additions that we're not used to seeing in the constructed part of the deck. Sting of Sorcery. We have been talking about it quite a bit in this stream. Like it means that every attack action gets +1 arcane damage, and with the help of Ball Lightning, that would mean 2 arcane damage. So this could present quite a lot of damage.
Yeah, exactly. And this is also where the arcane starts to play a bit of a role, because we see Marcus, he's using the 12 Petal Kasaya, which I do not believe has any arcane barrier on it.
Yep, nothing. So there is no arcane damage.
So yeah, so any arcane damage that goes towards Zen, he is going to take. There's no blocking that.
And it seems like I would bet this turn Marcus has seen that there is a lightning press in Arsenal, right? Because he've used the lightning press to fuse before.
Exactly, he should know that that is a lightning press.
Yeah. So that would mean as long as he stays in safe life totals, he has a full card to work with in addition with his Chi that he just got from Traverse. So if he can survive this, it would mean a lot of damage coming his way. So let's see what mode Tove is picking.
It looks like he's not opting for damage because he has already put that die on 5.
Should we go again? Oh, Marcus chosen to play defensively, making a send state.
Oh, that is the one way that you can deal with the arcane a little bit. The only thing that you can possibly do, creating a Zen state token, will reduce every instance of incoming damage by 1. So all of those are pings of arcane for 1 or 2. If they are 2, they will be reduced to 1. If they are 1, they will not do anything.
Yeah. And I'm really intrigued by this, because do you think this means that Marcus has a strong belief in his hand? Or I think
a flick flag. That means he might be intending to block more than it initially seemed.
I mean, if he doesn't believe that his hand has enough attack power to break through, he might think that it's better I played safely, create a send state, which will stick around for 2 turns, this turn and the next one.
Exactly, because this is always a bit of the danger and the weirdness in Flesh and Blood. Sometimes you take a whole bunch of damage to keep a 4-card hand, and you intend to swing back at your opponent harder, but then your own turn doesn't do as much as you hope for. Your opponent just blocks out, and now you do have the tempo, but you're suddenly like 10 or 15 life down.
Yeah.
And that is sort of the situation that Tove finds himself in now. He didn't block much at all, going down to 7 life, but not really swinging back that hard at Zen. So now Zen suddenly is 4 held up on Tove, and the tempo has reset a little bit for the moment.
It would be interesting if, let's see if Marcus can start with a blue attack here, so anything do so that he can transcend, or how he decides to start his turn. There is a blue, a gust wave. This could be a big one. This could be a combo starter, because you're still allowed to play 1 bonds of ancestry in your deck, even though it's restricted, it's not banned. Yeah, there's the Shuffle Cat.
There is the Shuffle Cat indeed. So that means the deck will be shuffled, Gustwave will be played, and where will we go from there?
He will probably choose I would imagine
it looks like
a bonds.
I think it's the tiger. Is that the tiger swipe? It looks like a tiger swipe in the top right.
Oh, the shortcut. It's a breed anger, I think.
Ah, yes.
Let's see here.
It is. It looks like someone swiping with a tiger's claw, so of course that is breed anger.
Let's see if they did shortcut that. No, they didn't. I think that card was banned. Yeah, that card was before. It was banished Art of War. Okay, there's the Chase the Tail.
Oh, right.
So no bonds yet.
Yes, I was thinking the same thing, that I believe that has been there for a bit already, but then there needs to be a card managed from deck with the Zen ability, right?
Mhm.
That's why you would use it, and he wasn't placing anything down. But
Yep.
there is indeed the chase the tail. So we see the the crouching tiger coming in, so that chase the tail can become active.
So would that mean that he has a aspect of Tiger Red in his arsenal? Because he needs another Tiger Maker, right? At this point, the chase tail is 4/4, and he wants to play another Tiger.
It could be. I don't
Yeah.
quite know what is in.
He had one arsenal from last turn. That's it. It's coming in for 3. And we also see here Marcus is making good use of the Zen state because it prevents the ping from Sigil of Suffering, so that the
Exactly.
Sigil still blocks for 3.
Yes, it's a strangely unfortunate use of it. I don't think that was the intended way that Marcus wanted to use it necessarily, but it comes in
Fills the
handy here
purpose
very
really
much.
good. It not only does it prevent 1 damage from the Sigil, it also turns out it increases the damage from, or rather, it doesn't make it so that the Sigil blocks for 4.
And we see both players now, or at least we see Zen being a little bit more careful. He's trying to squeeze out that damage, but he had a little bit less to go on. So he did manage to get Tove to 4 life, but
Yeah, and this leaves 3 cards for Tov.
so that's probably not enough to pressure Marcus enough. But we do see a snatch coming out immediately, and we have the Snapdragons available, so Tove can give this go again. So that means that Marcus has to respect it at least a little bit, because if he does not block here, then Tove is probably going to give that go again,
Yeah.
and then he has a 3-card hand to play with, and
Yeah.
Marcus is going to be 4 life lower.
Yeah, I think this has got to be a snap either way, because Tov has 2 cards remaining. And there's the bonds. He
Using it
drew
to
it.
block with.
Yeah.
So we are seeing the... and actually, I said that wrong. I said that it was going to deal 4 damage, but I think that Zen State token
Yep,
is still up, so
it's
that
still
will
there.
prevent the 1 damage that goes over the block. And that
So-
may be it.
Oh, that's
So
ball lightning for 1. It will be prevented. It does nothing. That could be a mistake. I don't think he wants to do that.
Yes, but the question is also, what do you do if you're in Tove's position here?
Yeah, it's rough, but he does have he could pitch it for yeah, he just decides to use the 4 attack.
And I think this is probably where we're going to see no blocks from
Yeah,
Marcus.
I would imagine, because I mean,
Preventing 1.
if Tov he could have pitched the ball lightning for the no, he hasn't played right lightning. Yeah, if he just used the last attack, I can't think of the name of it, the 4-power one, which he ended the chain with, he would be able to pitch for Aurora Hero Power to set up a lightning embodiment of lightning for next turn, or he could just arsenal anything.
Yeah, the problem is, I think Tove knows that if he's going to give Marcus another turn here, he most likely is dead.
Might be, but he didn't present lethal anyway. There were no relevant hits except the snatch, and Marcus decided to respect that.
Yes, perhaps you were right about that. At least the Zen State token is gone now, but now we see the Kodachi lock without the Kodachis. We see the Zephyr Needle lock.
Yeah, and the Zephyr Needle lock can absolutely be broken, because whatever he blocks this one will break. Oh, that's a 2 block. It won't break, and that's the level. Levels of enlightenment.
And this is tough, because Tove has taken damage. He has gone to 2. Even if he manages to survive this turn, he's gonna push.
And that's a 0 block.
He has a 0 block, and the
And
GG
Marcus
is
takes
given.
it.
Marcus Jonsson,
Wow.
your Living
Well
Legends
played.
champion. Yes, well played indeed.
Our last newest addition to Living Legend family, Marcus Jonsson.
Yes,
well done.
We see a Zen finalist in our Classic Constructed Commons and a Zen finalist in our Living Legend.
Yeah, taking down both finals.
Exactly. And it was funny, because I remember at the start of the day when we were looking at the metagame yesterday, I was saying that I was expecting to see some Zen, because people were saying low-key, I think Zen is stronger than people make him out to be. I was not expecting to see that many, but props, clearly some correct decisions were made, because pulling out the wins in both
very consistent, very powerful deck.
Exactly.
Wow, well played by Marcus. I'm impressed.
Yes, he was. it was a little dicey at the end when both players got low there, and then you
Yeah,
really have to think about those turns. But Marcus stayed calm, cracked his Kasaya, made that Zen State token, and it did him the dividends. Even on that very last turn when that snatch came in, he was able to block it with a tree block.
yeah,
The the Zen State token then was lowering that one damage, because that could have been another card for Tove, which who knows what that could have gone. It might have caused him to take a different line. He might have been able to present lethal. Then Marcus is going
yeah.
to have to block, and everything would have been different there. But
Yeah, but I think Marcus played it safe. He played collected because it seemed that there was no reason to give Tove that out of letting that snatch hit. Because I can't imagine what hand Tove would have left. If he would have had, must had been a lightning press to get through with the snatch and presented something else to make something out of that turn. Because as long as it wouldn't been able to present lethal, Marcus would be in a very, very good spot.
exactly, exactly. So, well, that takes us to more or less the end of our broadcast,
Yeah.
Conrad. So I will take a little bit of what I usually have Peter here for.
Mhm.
He always says we have to do the due diligence. We have to thank Ultra Pro, our sponsors, for sponsoring the show, and also big thanks to Alpha Spell, the venue that is currently hosting this. If you are
Yeah,
in Stockholm, you're looking to play some games with anyone, just show up. There's always people here playing games. Some people are renting rooms and doing their own Dungeons and Dragons thing. Sometimes people just sit down with a board game and
yeah,
join me up. And they have pretty decent burgers too.
yeah. Actually, I've had one today and one yesterday, so I'm happy with it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
We've been snacking on those Alpha Spell burgers because we need
yeah.
something to keep us going in this booth here. Um, good. So yeah, that's interesting. Do you have any shout outs, Conrad? Anyone that you might want to give some thanks to?
I have to make a shout out for Henrik Montin.
Mm.
Without him, nothing of this would have happened.
Yes, I
It's
am.
like really, really, he pulled so much weight to make this happen, and he has taken so much on his own to make things happen. So I really wish him the best, and I'm really thankful for him. Tack Henrik,
Yes,
superbra
yes.
jobbat, well done.
Once again, we already gave it out to him last at the end of the last match
Mm.
yesterday. But yeah, no, completely true. None of this would have been possible without Henrik pulling so much weight.
Yeah,
Um,
it feels very. I'm very, very thankful to have been a part of like the first Nordic battle hardened.
yes,
Yeah,
we were saying yesterday if we weren't on the map yet, hopefully we are now, because Prague, France, London, we're coming and we're bringing Jakob Trossing.
yeah,
So yeah, that with that said, I think we have paid due to all our sponsors. I would also like to thank all of the people that have been working around the floor that we haven't quite mentioned yet. We have a wonderful judge team running around trying to make everything happen, doing all of the side events. We have the wonderful staff at Alpha Spell as well. Some of us are friends with them because we hang out here all the time, and so making us the burgers to get us through
yep,
this day. And also I would like to thank the players as well for giving us some great matches
yeah,
today, especially Living Legend. I wasn't quite sure what to expect with the format and where everything would be at, but we saw so many different heroes. We saw the Levia, we saw Klaus doing really well. We saw
yeah.
so many different players and so many different
And
heroes.
many judge calls, so that we
Mhm.
learned things.
Exactly,
That's a good
yes.
thing as well.
No, I definitely learned about a couple of very strange interactions that will most likely never come up again for me in
Yeah.
this game. But
Unt,
if they
unt,
ever do, I'll be ready.
yeah, until you cast Living Legend for next time.
Yes,
Yep.
there is a. I mean, there's definitely a chance this might happen. We're hoping that now that we've had the battle hardened, the next stop calling, so
Yeah,
we'll see what we can get, and then hopefully we can get someone to help take some work off Henrik's
yeah,
shoulders, because
we
that is
should.
going to be too much for him
Yeah, but
alone.
I think we're such a great community worldwide with Flesh and Blood. Yeah, I'm grateful to be a part of it,
Yes,
and especially grateful being a part of the Stockholm scene because since it hasn't had happened that we had a battle hard in Sweden before or Nordic for that matter. It just feel great to make everything work.
Yeah, and I'm with you on that. It's I recently had a short discussion online where we were talking about a different card game which I shall not name, and I had to I had to post on the Flesh and Blood discussion forums, and I essentially said like the sad thing is I can't really discuss that card game with anyone because every time I do I sound like such a Flesh and Blood shill, because every time I'm
Yeah,
there and I'm like, oh, but Flesh and Blood is so awesome. There's so many cool people. We have like
yeah,
passionate people like Manson making all of those Levia videos. We have Skull and Flashback doing the content. We have Push the Point, Tree Floating. There's so many cool
Yeah.
content. All of them, you watch them and you can see that they're genuinely passionate about the game, and that's what brought me here. It's what keeping me here, and I guess it's true for
same.
both of us. So, with that said,
Yeah.
I think we are about to head off
Yeah.
and give
Everyone
you.
take care. Stay awesome.
Yeah, and so what do we say in Sweden?
Yeah. Ha det gött.
Ha det good, ha det bra.